Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, and that means it's almost Shabbos. Today is also Lag BaOmer, a very special day that is celebrated around the world as a day that the students of Rabbi Akiva, who died in a terrible plague, stopped dying. It is also the day that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who was the author of the Zohar, and the Zohar being the primary text and source of all Kabbalistic teachings, he passed away on this day, so it's his yahrzeit. I'm sure by now many of you have heard or read about the terrible tragedy that took place last night in Israel in Meron. Meron is the city where the hill, the mountain where Rabbi Shimon is buried. And traditionally, Jews gather from all over the country, all over the world really, to come to his burial site on the yahrzeit on the anniversary of his death, and to celebrate and to dance and to celebrate their connection to him and to the Torah and to the mystical teachings of Torah. And last night, a terrible tragedy took place in Meron, and chaos and some not exactly clear incident happened, and there were stampedes that left many people dead. Right now they're estimating 44, perhaps a little bit more. And it's very hard to even think about that and imagine it, and to try to picture what took place there, and how and why. And of course, what's very difficult to wrap our heads around is that this was a beautiful celebration of Torah, of spirituality, of Judaism, of connection, that all of a sudden just turned in an instant, turned deadly and tragic. The only thing I can think of that might be similar in the Torah was the story of Aaron's two sons on the day of the 8th day of the inauguration of the Mishkan, of the temple, in the desert. After the Jewish people had constructed the temporary temple called the Mishkan, they were celebrating the inauguration, the first day of use of the temple, and a similar thing happened, and the two sons of Aaron died. And that moment went from being one of the most celebratory moments in the story of the Torah to one of the most tragic moments. And the response to this situation from Aaron, when he heard about it, it says that Moshe informed Aaron what had happened, that his two sons had died, and it simply says, V'yidom Aaron, that Aaron was silent. Aaron was silent. He had no words. There was no response. There was no attempt to even wrap words around the tragedy that took place. And I certainly feel that right now the same thing should apply. We don't have any way to understand how this happened or why this happened, but we do know it's tragic, and we do know that in moments like this, what we need and what the people in Israel need is support, unity, love, concern, prayers. So our prayers right now are for the families who lost fathers or brothers or sons or whoever it was that passed away, these 40 plus men that died in this terrible tragedy, as well as the dozens that are injured, that we need to pray for their refuah, for their healing, for them to have a speedy recovery and to recover from their injuries, many of which are very serious and critical. And we also need to use this time as a time for unity, especially in Israel, where tensions are very high right now between the different groups in Israel. I'm talking about the Jewish groups, not even talking about the Jewish-Israeli-Arab conflict, but even within Israel, where there are a lot of Jewish groups that are rivaling, and especially with the politics and the inability to form a government there, it's really a time of discord and disunity, and we really need to see this as a time to come together and to unify. Please God, in the merit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his holy pure neshama, and the light and the fire of his Torah and the mystical teachings of the Zohar, we should merit to see only good things coming from Israel and for the Jewish people around the world. And wishing everybody a Shabbat Shalom.